it had that wing and it had a pistol grip. And what more could you want if you were a 18-year-old kid? My name is Scott Hadfield, and I live in Brentwood, Tennessee. It's a 1969 RoadRunner convertible with 1970 Superbird and RoadRunner sheet metal.
How many convertible Superbirds do you think Plymouth made? That's right, 0. How many does Scott Hadfield have since 1977?
One.
What's up, man?
Good to see you.
Good to meet you. Pleasure. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I got my first Superbird in 1977. No, 76, excuse me. And I went to my first meet in 1977. It was in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And when I drove into the parking lot at that meet, lo and behold, there was a orange Superbird convertible on a trailer. And I just went wild. I said, there was like 90 Superbirds and Daytonas, but, here was this convertible. I fell in love. And I already knew where there was a roughed up Superbird in Nashville. I had been following it for a year. So anyway, I came back and I had a project. The basic car was a 69 RoadRunner convertible. It was automatic with bench seats, just your basic little car. It was found in a junkyard in Franklin, had it towed home, and that's what I started with. No air conditioning or anything. It's just a strip little car. Yeah. Well, anyway, I bought that. I bought the Superbird, had the Superbird before I bought the RoadRunner. And then I just started building. I bought a 70 RoadRunner out of a junkyard that had the dash. I wanted the air conditioning dash because I put factory air conditioning on it. Okay. I changed out the firewall and everything. So when you see the underhood shots, it looks like it came from the factory.
And you did all this yourself?
Yeah, I didn't paint the car, but all the everything else. Built the motor. I changed it from automatic on the column to 4-speed. Welded the tunnel in and all that. But it had that wing and it had a pistol grip. And what more could you want if you were a 18-year-old kid?
What do you love, even now, about the Superbirds?
Well, I really got into the race car part of it because when I first got into them, I didn't really realize they were race cars. I didn't realize Richard Petty had one in his showroom, in his trophy room. And when I started researching them, and, as you can look at some of the pictures behind me and everything, that's what really, really intrigued me, was, they were race cars. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway, I think that was 1983, but it could have been 84. The problem with all the pictures I took, I never dated anything because I never thought I would forget it. My advice to anyone is date everything. Yeah. Yeah, take it out. Take it out.
That is it.
I've had this one on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I've had this one on the Talladega racetrack. I've had the yellow one on the Atlanta racetrack. So yeah, if there's a racetrack to get one on, I like to do it.
never noticed that little adjustment on wing there. Those
Right.
guys actually use that.
They actually use that, and somewhere if you search the internet, you can find a picture of Richard Petty with his little dial indicator sitting right on top of that wing where you're putting the GoPro here in a little bit
Yeah.
to adjust the angle.
What were some of the challenges you came across? I'm sure there was parts.
Well, the Superbird that I bought had been rolled. In other words, it had the only window glass left in it was the back window. Believe it or not, the plug survived, but the hood was pushed down in the front. The doors had been replaced. Somebody had stolen the seats. I mean, I had a lot of parts I had to chase down. But fortunately, back then, there was satellites and RoadRunners in junkyards in the back of gas stations. I bought a satellite to get air conditioning compressor and stuff out of. Like I said, I bought a 70 RoadRunner just to get the dash out of because the air conditioning dash was different. If I needed a part, I might have had to buy a car, but I would also sell other parts. I never lost any money on a car. You need a part, you buy a $150 car, $200 car. Yeah, you can't do that anymore. Hemmings Motor News.
That's it.
That was it. And I got a Superbird newsletter once a quarter or something that had some one ads in it, but they never had, what I was looking for, and to get parts from the dealer, they didn't want to fool with a young kid. They didn't want to look anything up for me. So, back in 77, that's when all the Chrysler dealerships were going out of business. And so I was at the Hoosier Auto Show and I bought all the Chrysler books. And so I started going and it was Star Chrysler Plymouth. I just started going in there with my part number. If all they have to do is plug in the part number, and, I got a lot of parts from them.
But do people go crazy when they see it?
Oh, yeah. Well, everybody, I didn't know they made a Superbird convertible. Or the best ones are when they tell their wives how rare they are and they only made one or two. It's like, yeah, or girlfriends. It's like, yeah, you really don't know as much. That was the very first time I had it out, and that was in 1980 at a meet in Alabama.
And where are you?
Right there. Yeah, white shirt and funny little short pants.
Direct connection girl from Milcar, right?
Yep.
What's her name? I'll put it on there when I find out.
The fender vents, everybody thinks those were for cooling on the, the vent. Well, they weren't. They were for tire clearance. Because back in the day, and I heard this from a Chrysler engineer that helped develop the car, these things had torsion bar suspension. Okay, well, they would back that torsion bar down, and they only checked them going on the track, and they'd pack it full of plastic and get the ride height. So the first time in the bank, all that stuff squished out, car dropped down. Well, initially, the tires were rubbing. And so there you have it.
Just because they look really cool.
No, it served a purpose on the race car. Fact is, in '69 on the Daytona, they had them cut out. Well, on the street car, that just threw mud on the driver's window. So on the '70 Superbird, they didn't cut out for the scoop, and they sent a service bulletin out for the dealer to cut it out if the buyer wanted it.
What would you say your favorite part about
Driving them and taking them places for people to see. I mean, I don't take them out a lot, but I do take them out. And the thing about me is, I didn't buy this stuff when it was expensive. You know, this was stuff, you know, gas had gotten up to 50 cents a gallon. Nobody wanted this stuff. You know, it was terrible. You know, there was no gas mileage.
Yeah.
And, you know, by 1980, you know, that's when I finally gave up driving my Trans Am. You know, it was just, you know, like, but I kept it. And I kept it. I did.
What would you say your best memory with this car?
Ooh, my best memory? I was at the Mopar Nationals, early 80s, and I'd have to look up the date. But when I showed up with this, you know, it was like the Andy Warhol 15 Minutes of Fame because, I mean, the cameras were just, the shutters were just clicking left, and right. The first racetrack I was on the Indianapolis 500. And, you know, that racetrack's got so much history. And here I am in a car that I put together.
Yeah.
You know, going around the Indianapolis 500 racetrack. And the other one was 2 years ago, being up on the banks of Talladega. You know, I had my wife, I had my dog, and here we are doing 90 miles an hour on the banks at Talladega. It was great. You know, you can't make it up.
This is the last question
Yeah.
I want to ask everybody. And I'm pretty sure I know the answer. So, would you sell it?
No. So, you know, no, I'm not. You know, unless I financially had to.
Yeah.
You know,
It means too much to you, too much.
well,
to
I can come look at the car. If you sell something for money, then the money disappears, you know. And don't get me wrong, if I needed the money, if something happened that I had, you know, medical, anything, then the cars have got to go. But right now, especially as long as I can still enjoy them, you know, and maybe that time will come. You know, I'm almost 70, and you know, I don't know what the future holds. The grandkids like to come. You know, I'm a popular place.
We're here.
Okay. How many convertible Superbirds do you think Plymouth made? 0. How many has Dave Hadfield had since 1977?
Scott had.
That's how we're going to start.
Yeah, come on.
What did I say, David?
Yeah, don't get my name wrong.
Oh man.